So I now invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath and relax in your seat. And let the law of gravity do its works. Take a deep breath. Breathing, knowing that every breath that you take is God breathing life into you. The most powerful force in the universe. The creator of all creation. God breathing into you. God, Spirit, in every breath, in every heartbeat. And center yourself in this moment of peace and love and deep relaxation. In the words of Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, the Science of Mind teaching, life is one perfect wholeness. Life is one perfect wholeness. Let us tune in to this perfect indwelling God, the healing presence within us, which already is perfect. And let us claim our truth as we chant, as we repeat these affirmations silently or out loud. Repeat after me. I am healthy. I am whole. I am complete. And the healing presence within you heals every organ, every bone, every cell of your being. I am healthy. I am whole. I am complete. Take another breath and affirm, I am prosperous. I am prosperous. Feel the prosperity. Feel the abundance. I am prosperous. Now let us affirm, I am love. I am love. And the love that is within you radiates through you. You are love. You are love. take another breath, another deep breath, and let these affirmations sink in your subconscious mind. I am healthy, whole, and complete. I am prosperous. I am love. And slowly, very slowly and gentle, come back into the room. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. My name is Lucy Pavlik. I am a licensed practitioner and also a ministerial student.
And I am the other half of the duo. My name is John Pavlik. I am a licensed practitioner here, and we just finished our second year of ministerial training. A couple more to go.
We want to welcome you to this center, especially if you are new. If this is your first time, please know that we are happy that you found us. Our spiritual director, our beloved Dr. Reverend Frankie, is away on a sabbatical, but don't worry, she will be back next Sunday. But today we have an amazing, sweet guest who we will introduce right after the opening treatment.
So here at our center, if you're here for the first time, we start everything with prayer, and we call it spiritual mind treatment, which is just another word for affirmative prayer. So everybody just close your eyes again for a second, and let us just affirm this truth today. That there is one power, that there is one presence, that is nothing but love, nothing but peace, nothing but joy, health, creative expression, and prosperity. And that is the very presence that is within each and every one of us, expressing in our own individual, unique ways the love, the peace, the prosperity, the creative self-expression, and the health. Today, I just simply know. I know only good. I know in this summertime, 4th of July week, the freedom that we have with Spirit, the resting, the oneness, the gentleness of vacations, of quiet times. I know this is all good. And I know today we get infused with Spirit. I know that we are blessed, that we are happy, that we are healthy, whole, and complete. For this, I simply say thank you. We release these words into universal principles, into universal laws, because we know they are done. And so it is. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our beautiful guest speaker is known as the Jersey Girl. She is the founding spiritual director of Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey. But first, she was originally trained here at CSL Morristown. And she was a very active member and a teacher during her time here. She is the mother of 3 sons and a grandmother of 2 toddlers. And this is very important to her because her entire ministry is about utilizing the science of mind to teach emotional health, as she encouraged all of us to be in constant practice of this teaching. She has 3 books and 1 more on the way. And she has been very busy speaking around the United States, Canada, and Mexico. She is very passionate and powerful religious scientist.
So powerful that she needs 2 people to introduce her. So everybody here remembers their first time, right? Their first time walking into a center for spiritual living. Where was your minds? 14 years ago, I was introduced to this teaching. A friend of mine brought me to Reverend Michelle's center. It was in Montclair. It was a theater on top and a basement in the bottom. I'm walking down this long, dark hallway. There's these curtains, and there's Reverend Michelle. This is my introduction into the science of mind. My friend walks up and goes, Reverend Michelle, I'd like to introduce you to John Pavlik. She looks at me and says, take your shirt off and give it to me. I said, I don't know what kind of teaching this is, but I'm separated, so I'm game for this. They were having a Halloween party, and she needed my shirt. I had something on underneath. She needed my shirt to complete her costume. But she is so dear in my life. She is just, you'll hear for yourself today. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Michelle.
I love that story. Oh, good morning. And he is correct. That is exactly what I did, because I encouraged everyone to wear a costume and didn't bring one. And they looked at me like, oh no. So I borrowed a wig from someone, a shirt from John, and something from someone else, and turned around and did something, which was a lot calmer than the time I put stuffing in my bra. And for Halloween, and I spoke about revealing oneself and not being false and pulling my son's athletic socks. So, you know, I think fun is a necessary thing in this teaching, so I try to have it. And I love the title, Jersey Girl, because when we were trying to brand me, I looked up what Jersey Girl meant. Like if you Google Jersey Girl, we have a description. So any of you that are born and bred here, we share some qualities. But the quality that is most important is loyal. We are fiercely loyal individuals. And you can, once I love you, you have to practically stab me before I turn my back on you. Sometimes to a fault. Sometimes to a fault. It works out in that direction also. Please repeat after me, if you will. I am the place where love resides. I am the place where love resides. And I go with that idea wherever I go. So wherever I walk into a room, I know that wherever I am, love resides. Jackie, thank you for setting me up so well with that song and with my talk for this morning, because there are 3 main points I want to leave you with today, and I'll do this one because it's on the title in the description, and that is practicing radical honesty. Practicing radical honesty to me is one of the key things that we have to do, most specifically as religious scientists. And the reason is when we're not practicing, and I'll tie these together, when we're not practicing radical honesty, it can often lead to us practicing spiritual bypass. You all know that term, spiritual bypass? Not that many. Okay, spiritual bypass is what happens when we're trying to be positive, right? We come into this positive setting, and everyone wants you to read the positive, the uplifting, the affirming material, which is fantastic. And yet there's underneath this, often this expectation you're supposed to walk around happy. And yet sometimes you're not. So someone says to you, how are you today? And you go, I'm fine. And you have this look on your face that says, I'm not really fine. But you're feeling like you have to say, I'm fine. And so that disconnect between what you feel is culturally demanded of you, and we say we have no dogma, but our dogma's there, it's just subtle. So the dogma has to do with an expectation that you be happy every time you're here and every time you show up. And I'm sure nobody means that. I know Reverend Frankie long enough to know that would not be what she wants. She would want authenticity at all cost. Yet it gets read into what we do. The problem with practicing spiritual bypass and not being really honest about where you're at, is that you're functioning on top of dysfunction. You're functioning on top of pretense. So you come into the room and maybe you've lost your house, you lost a spouse, somebody passed away, you've been ill, but you don't really want to admit it because you're supposed to be happy or you're supposed to be well. And so in not admitting it, you pretend. And that pretense not only dishonors your humanity, it actually has you show up in a false way. God wants nothing from you but for you to be you. God wants you to be you exactly as you are when it's working and when life isn't working. So when I teach all of my beginning classes, we always start, whether it's the foundations class or the old Science of Mind 100 class, some of you might have been around long enough to have remembered that, or the Beyond Limits class, we always start with the first number of weeks and everyone starts learning how to pray. I encourage them to work on these concepts: self-love, self-acceptance, self-esteem, self-forgiveness, and any other selves you might not. Why? Because when we work on the self, we are creating a foundation and a healthy soil. The soil of your soul, with which, when you think then into that, then what comes out of that is something that's more authentic, and that it is, you are acknowledging your humanity. So repeat after me again. I accept myself as I am. Now here's the magic part. And as I am not. That's the best part of that. No matter how much I've tried, I will never be 5'10", blonde, and a model. But that doesn't stop you from wanting what you don't have, does it? Does it? We wind up comparing ourselves to others. We look and we think, oh, I want to look like Lucy, who's stunning and beautiful and graceful. And if I don't stop that habit, I am completely dishonoring who I am being. And I discount the me, the older, chunkier, more wise maybe, me, which has a lot of value. For me, my values are the perfect expression of who Michelle is. And so for that reason, when you walk up to me later, if you say hello, you might see sparkles in my hair, because yesterday was all about the fairy princess birthday party for my 4-year-old granddaughter, because that's my priority. And I'm good with that. I'm good with being who I am, but I had to work to get there. That was not automatic. It was not automatic to become okay being me. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's not automatic. We try, we get the idea, we read a book, and Reverend Frankie walks in here gracefully. She took a lot to get to that. It's not automatic, right? If any of you have been on this path for a while, being graceful in the skin that you're in is not automatic. It comes from years of study and meditation and prayer. And being honest, and the more honest we are with ourselves, the more we access God as us. And so one of the things that has been very important to me in recent times, and I didn't start out wanting to do forgiveness work, but in my work with individuals, I have come to realize, and this is even just doing treatment with people, what I've come to realize is that forgiveness is absolutely critical. It is critical for you to be the freer you. Now, some of us have things to forgive that are within family. Sometimes it is within the tribe that we are part of. And what I mean by that, we are all part of different tribes. So I'm part of a female tribe. We are part of a tribe of religious scientists. There's African American tribe. There is the tribe of people speaking a second language. There are very many different tribes. Some of them carry with them a fair amount of pain and story and suffering. The Jewish tradition has a lot of pain and story and suffering. And unless you and I get okay and take on a practice of releasing where these things live within us, they continue to inform our behavior. Until you wake up and until you forgive, your pain informs your behavior. And you won't always know that that's what's happening. How do you notice? How can you figure it out? You figure it out through patterns. Patterns of relationship. Do you keep marrying the same person over and over again? You keep getting the same kind of boss in your job over and over again? You keep getting the same kind of pain and disappointment over and over again? Do you have physical pain or discomfort in your body that you can't quite shake? Anywhere where there's a pattern, most likely, and I would say 100%, but let me not be too cocky, most likely there is something within you that has to be forgiven. And when I say that, I always mean two parts. That is to forgive the other that you're blaming, and we'll talk about that in a moment, and then forgive yourself for believing that they're at fault. Some of you have not been at the mercy of your perpetrator for 20, 30, 40 years, right? Is that true? Some of you have old stories, but they're old stories, are they not? Doesn't prevent you from suffering yet, does it? So if what happened was a long time ago, why are we still telling the story? Why are we still in pain? Why? Because you and I choose unconsciously, by default, unfortunately, we choose to subscribe. We choose to subscribe by not denying it as a force in our lives. Is that clear? So, if something happened to you, and I'm a perfect example, I had the perfect dysfunctional life. And I don't say that to be funny, but some of you know what I'm talking about. I grew up in a perfect dysfunctional family with all the accoutrements that come with being dysfunctional. All of the stories that could be told, right? We don't have to tell them because it's not about the story anymore. So at this age, this ripe, wonderful, wise age of 61, which I'm happy to say, that I've made it this far. At the age of 61, for me to continue to suffer for something that happened at a toddler, the time of teen, I'm going to be rude now, is stupid. It's dumb. It's silly. It's ridiculous. But we all do it. Mostly because we haven't learned not to. No one has had it in your face and said, no, you don't actually have to keep suffering. You are actually not at the mercy of what was. You're not. That's the beauty of this teaching. That is absolutely the stunning beauty of this teaching. And it makes me always wonder why seats in every center for spiritual living are not packed. This should be standing room only. Why? Because we have access to a teaching and a methodology where we can become free. So the part of this that I want you to remember is not the story about, Reverend Michelle, she had pain and suffering. Well, the part I want you to remember is that all of us together have the same access to the same tools, to the same potency, to the same power, and it's all delivered through spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, whatever you call it. Here's the beauty of it. The thing about spiritual mind treatment, it is not an intellectual process. And it seeps into the body temple, and it moves through you and through spirit to you at a level where you can take care of what was in the most beautiful, gentle way, without having to tell the story, without having to analyze. All that is necessary, and I want you to hear this, all that is necessary that you must be able to recognize what it is you're feeling. Hence, the importance of radical honesty. You have to recognize what causes you to go towards somebody or feel repelled by somebody. When you recognize what it is that's moving you in and out of your life, in and out of the lives of other people, and you can name it, you can heal it. But naming it is critical to healing it. Where does it live? It lives at the level of the subconscious. Ernest Holmes was clear. Everything that ever happened to you has been recorded. And now they teach that just that the brain is this incredible recording device. Well, anything that has ever happened to you was recorded. And unless you paid attention to it and took care of it, some of that stuff, like a computer program that has a virus, isn't that annoying? This is a human virus. And you don't realize it because you think it makes sense. You think it's quite logical why you should want to be around someone who's beautiful or why you repel someone who has red hair. You think it's quite logical. Something in you says, oh yeah, this works. This makes sense. I'm keeping myself safe. Safe means shut off. And unfortunately, the thing about safe is you can't just shut off from what you don't want. It shuts you off. It shuts you down. It shuts off your heart. And once you shut off your heart, now you're not even accessing all these incredible things that are available to you. You feeling me? You got this? You have to be willing to feel, to move through it. On the other side of doing that, on the other side of feeling, on the other side of recognizing is freedom. Freedom to be, freedom to succeed, freedom to heal. The statement that we use all the time, and Lucy used it this morning. It's an amazing statement. I am whole, perfect, and complete. But as a beginner, and I don't know where any of you are on the road of metaphysics, as a beginner, when we say that, we don't quite know what we're saying. We're not sure. And then there comes a time where we say it because we're trying to believe it and we're trying to force something into place. And then as we move along into metaphysics and we become advanced metaphysicians, then we say it from a deep place of knowing. But to get to that deep-rooted place of knowing, I have to be willing to call it as I see it, to heal it, and to move through it. Can I ask for your help? I have a handout. I don't know if there's enough for everyone. Stephanie saved me this morning. It's 2 pages. I want to give this to you this morning because this is part of a course that I teach in No Mud, No Lotus. I work primarily with ministers and practitioners. And I do that, fortunately yet unfortunately, because often they haven't done all this work before they've gotten to be ministers and practitioners. And so the No Mud, No Lotus is a forgiveness course. I teach people how to use the material, but also how to implement it with their clients. It's very important work. And so what I've created and what we're handing out here is the first part of it is a small little prayer. And you might look at it and you might dismiss it, and I'm asking you not to. Because it's so simple, you're going to think, oh no, this doesn't work. Here are my glasses. Do you ever do that? Where are they? You're going to think when you look at this, oh, this is too simple. It can't possibly make a difference. And I'm just going to read it to you as they're handing out the sheets. So what this says, it says retrieving power from smaller offenses. Some of us have memories, some of us have pains, some are small, some are large. I know that, I'm not a fool. I know some of you have very real big things. And if you were to tell your story, we would all be feeling it with you. I'm not negating that, okay? But this little practice, what this practice is, it's to retrieve your personal power, your responsibility, your authority by no longer holding other people responsible. As long as I think John is the fault of my pain, I'm dead in the water. Everybody hear that? As long as I think John is the source of my pain, I'm dead in the water because I can't do anything about him. I can only work on me. I can only clear my consciousness. I can only heal my heart. This is where my power exists, contained in the beingness of who I have chosen to be. Do you understand? So this little practice helps you to pull the pain back out of that person that you have been blaming. You're saying, oh, it's his fault or it's her fault. This pulls it back out of them, and you get to become more potent. Because if we're walking around in a state of blame and we're walking around having others be responsible for our pain and suffering, you are functioning at half. You're not functioning fully. The full access of God through you is accessed more when you are fully responsible. Yes? You get that? This is like a very big idea. Probably not a new idea. I'm sure that Reverend Frankie has delivered this message. But this process is one that I created, that I work with in my class for these individuals. So I'm going to encourage you to do something right now. I'm going to encourage each one of you right now as you're listening to me to think of just one person with which you have, just say, an annoyance. Just an annoyance, not a big thing, not a big hurt or pain, nothing that has a lot of suffering to it. Can everyone come up with one person? Show of hands. Can you come up with somebody? Well, if you don't have your hand raised, God bless you. So what I'd like you to do, kind of quietly, but yes, audibly, but low, I'd like you to go through this process right now out loud and feel into it. See what it's like to slowly let someone off the hook as you own the power back to yourself. And I'm going to do this out loud, but quietly, just to create some white noise so you all can feel free to do that. You ready to go? Everybody have somebody? Okay, so right now, Bill is not the person I wanted him to be. Bill does not possess the characteristics that I wish he did. Bill is not responsible for my continued upset. I alone am responsible for my response. I free Bill from my mind, and I am a free. How's that feel? How's it feel? Tell me. A beginning. Beginning is good. Does it a release? Is that what someone said? It's not the big one. This is the little one. Because very often we start our healing practice, you know what we do? We take care of everything that was, and we don't pay attention to what is. And then we let a whole new set of things build up. You know the quickest way to forgive? The quickest way to forgive is to not blame and not judge someone to begin with. Just a thought. You get that? I don't have to forgive you if I don't blame you. I don't have to forgive you if I haven't felt like you were at fault. Think about that. For every single judgment you have, for every single judgment I have, it is immediately felt. I wrote something, we're doing a 31-day de-stressing process in my center for the month of July. And the piece I wrote, trying to make something as simple as possible. But I want you to think of it this way. For every judgment you have, think of it as a stone you have to carry. And you probably do that a couple times a day, maybe more. And for every judgment, think of it as a stone, but you don't get to put them down. And then the next day it happens again. Now multiply that a week, a month, a year. And the only way that you can put them down is to really free yourself of them. Until that time, every single judgment you make separates you from God and creates your pain and suffering automatically. See, Ernest Holmes says we don't suffer because of our sins, we suffer by them. And let's remember, sins in this teaching means mistake. And as we judge, we create those mistakes within us. Yes? You with me? Okay. The other two things that are on this page are two treatments that I wrote that I use. They are absolutely potent to practice forgiveness. I encourage you to begin using them on a weekly basis without expectations. Because that's the other way we create. I have an expectation that Lucy got the computer working this morning. Oh, well, she didn't get it. Well, then what's wrong with her? We must learn to manage our expectations. It's purely the four agreements and making no assumptions. Expectations is just another word for it. But we don't manage our expectations. We expect our husband to be a certain way, or our wife to be a certain way, or our spiritual leader to be a certain way, or our practitioners to be a certain way, or members of the board to be a certain way, or. We have unspoken, unexpressed expectations we place out there, and then we walk around annoyed and pissed off when the people don't comply. Anybody know what I'm talking about? These are the subtle things. But all of these little subtle things chip away at your personal power. Chip away at your personal power. Chip away at your personal power. And you and I, if you're sitting in the seat in the Center for Spiritual Living here or anywhere else, we can't afford to be in silos. When the Pulse shooting happened, was that 2 years ago now? Last year or 2 years ago? 2 years ago, right. When that Pulse shooting happened, that wasn't just in Florida. I was thinking about the people in my community. When the shooting happened in Charleston, North Carolina, that prayer group, I thought to myself, I'm always in a prayer group. And imagine these people, they're devoted to God. And someone comes in and decides to take their life. Now, I could say, oh, yeah, that's too bad for them. Oh, that's so sad. But once again, I'm reminded, because somebody in my community, their cousin was one of the people killed. See, we're not separate. And it's imperative that we realize that you and I have to carry someone in here, even if you have to carry them in kicking and screaming. Because the freedom that you and I find is a gift. And it's a gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving. So it's so important that we tell others and we encourage others. I was part of this community when our members were like 200. The place was cranking. It could be that again, but not without you. It's imperative that we each take it on as our job to free another soul. First, by being it. Can't do anything for someone else that you haven't done for yourself. I know you've heard that from Reverend Frankie 1,000 times. I'm certain. But then when we are that, didn't give that hand to someone. I saw someone today who brought their brother. I don't know where they are, but they brought their brother. Ah, there you go. You brought your brother this morning. I remember who got me here. I remember who brought me here. And then I left for a little while because there was a minister before Reverend Frankie, and I was like, And I laughed. I'm like, And then someone said, oh, you got to come back. There's this new minister, Reverend Frankie. She's great. She laughs at herself. I went, all right. And then I never left. And then I pulled in family members, and I pulled in friends. And I raised my third son in this teaching, sitting in the back of that room in a car seat. We're not alone. We're not alone, and we can't act like we're alone. We can't act like we're in a silo. Take somebody with you. Yes? So, what I want you to remember today is be willing to be you, the full you exactly as you are. You are the only one who can do you. You are beautiful and stunning as you are. Matter of fact, turn to someone and say, you are stunning. Yeah, turn and say that to someone. Wait, there's a person there in the middle of the row. Come on, guys, stretch. You are stunning. That's the feeling that you want to cultivate all the time. Whether you're walking in a Dunkin' Donuts or a doctor's office, to realize that you are stunning and that you are the message of being stunning. I want you to remember that. I want you to remember to practice forgiveness. Please. Your life actually depends upon it. And I'm not being dramatic there. The fullest expression of your life depends upon it. And you don't negate the things that you adopted from your family. Some of us have a lot of family stuff, right? Forgive that too. Forgive that too. We good? And so it is. So what I know right here, right now, is that there is a power and a presence and a love so grand, so glorious, so complete. It avails itself in me, through me, as me, every moment of every day. There is no place that I can go where I am not fully integrated within the consciousness and the love and the possibility of this one. I trust right here and right now that life as me is potent and powerful and stunning. And as I speak this word for each person present here, I know this for each of us, and I declare that anywhere within our subconscious, where any stories, wounds, pains have taken residence, by means of this word, they are neutralized, cast out, never again to be in charge of any of our life. Neutralized. Because the potency of the Word of God can do that. And as that space is made clear, what enters is a bounty of self-love and self-acceptance and self-forgiveness like never known before. This is my identity. This is my authority. I accept this, I declare this, and I allow only this to be my truth. I am the place where love resides. I know this for each and every one of us. And I know this vibration integrates into our body temple. It infiltrates every cell, every breath, every beating of our heart. There is good and only good. There's love and only love. No matter the appearance of other. With a great sense of bounty, I release this word to love, to law, and to the awe of life. Please join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. Thank you.